Hello, good morning. We are back on the Unfriendly Cricket Podcast with Krishnan the Banerjee, Abhishek Shetty, and myself, Rajashri Gupta, on the back of what was not a very surprising squad selection, at least a provisional squad selection for India's Champions Trophy campaign. We had discussed this last week. We had told you the core will remain the same. And Krish had his own opinions about Pant versus Samson. Shetty was vehement about Samson and a couple of other selections. But we kind of knew where that was going to head because of limited ODI data really leading up to this squad selection because most of India's ODIs were played in 2023 and between the World Cup and the Champions Trophy, which is scheduled to start in about a month's time, India barely played 6 one-day internationals. Not much data to go by then. So surprising there is, of course, Krish. We were talking about Mohammad Siraj picked Harshad Rana picked ahead of Siraj, and Siraj, a lot of people would say, was heroic in Australia, given how he kept fighting back. Of course, his averages weren't very impressive. And then the curious case of Sanju Samson. I know there are several Sanju Samson fans, perhaps a little distraught, given that he had scored 100 in his last ODI, if I remember correctly, in South Africa.
Sanju Samson, yeah. So I mean, when BCCI selects the squad, they say we are, yeah, fine. I mean, you do not have enough ODI data, so let's go by 23 World Cup. Then Siraj is dropped based on recent performances. Then you do not pick Sanju based
Yeah.
on recent performances, and you stick to World Cup. I mean, चल क्या रहा है? I don't have any idea about what is the thought process there. Yeah, like I told you, Rishabh Pant could be. I mean, he is always the main wicket keeper in any format. He still may not be your number one keeper in the playing 11, but he will get the nod because he's a left-hander. And the same thought process was applied for Yashasvi Jaiswal as well, even though he hasn't played any ODI for India. But then, I mean, that is where. So, what's the point of playing all these nonsense bilateral series, scoring runs, and then miss out on
No,
your.
no, Krish, you don't get it. Krish, you don't get it. I'll tell you. Shetty, you know what happened? Recent form, Rohit Sharma averaged about 6 or 7 in the Border Gavaskar Trophy. So Yashasvi Jaiswal's been given a nod for the Champions Trophy
So,
without playing any one-day cricket whatsoever.
Are you saying Rohit Sharma will drop himself from Pakistan match?
Yes, yes, yes. So if Rohit Sharma drops himself, then in comes Yashasvi Jaiswal to open alongside Shubman Gill. So that
That
means you
that
want another
that
left.
sounds better, to be honest. That's a better
So
combination,
that's
right?
recent form,
Giving
right?
So recent, you are not going by recent form. You are not going by World Cup form. Then what? I
Yeah,
mean,
this is kind
this is
this is
bizarre.
kind recent this is recent form versus recent development. Recent form was Rohit Sharma averaging 6 in Australia, then dropping himself in Sydney. If Rohit Sharma averages 6 in the first couple of matches, then he drops himself and up comes Yashasvi Jaiswal. You see the strategy behind
we
behind
won't we won't get couple of matches for Yashasvi Jaiswal to come up. So,
Because
but
see,
but
Oh,
coming back to Sanju Samson, he
yeah.
always reminds me of that Balotelli incident when he said, "Why
why
always
always
me?"
me?
And this is exactly that. What has he
Yeah.
done wrong to be ignored by the BCCI or
Did
the
not play
Indian
Vijay
team?
Hazare.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah.
He wanted to play Vijay Hazare, but the Kerala again in this thing, like a
So
guy is sending mail. A high profile man like Sanju Samson who has actually uplifted Kerala cricket. To be very honest, he's one of those main pillars to
he
get
is the
Kerala on
only
the board.
Kerala player,
Every
man. He is the only
yeah,
Kerala player.
in the men's team, in the women's team, there have been few, but again, he's sending mails to them, and they are not accepting his mails, saying that we cannot give any, we cannot do injustice to any youngster. But seriously, come on, he had a chance to come and play for the
No,
India in the championship,
that
but
is
that's not a reason. That's
that is
I
where
don't
my
think that could
problem
be.
is. That is where my problem is. You are saying, yeah, great. You should play Vijay Hazare only, then we will select you. Then you do not select Karun Nair because you do not have a place.
No, but
And
again, that is my
See,
problem with
Karun
Karun
Nair,
Nair. Krish, Karun
no,
Nair was never
yeah,
meant to be a
absolutely,
listed cricketer. Now,
absolutely,
look, everybody
absolutely.
has
I
been
get
going
it.
gung ho. No, no,
No, no, no.
I'm glad you brought that point. I'm not contradicting you, but I'm just saying that there was a lot of murmur on social media and elsewhere,
He
even a
was
few
never meant to
journalists
be. No,
suggesting Karun Nair. I said, Karun Nair,
no.
look, he's got fine. He had a sensational run, but look back. I mean, people. This is short-term memory with people who do not follow domestic cricket. You look at Karun Nair through the years in list A cricket, he was never quite a one-day cricketer. He never shaped himself to be
Agreed.
one.
Agreed.
And he had a great campaign, but that does not mean you get him straight up to a Champions Trophy selection.
Doesn't make any
Yashasvi
sense, to be
Jaiswal,
honest.
no. And Yashasvi Jaiswal, fine. He's played the other two formats and he's been very successful for India, especially in Test cricket. I still have my reservations about just planting someone in for an ICC event on pitches where you don't know how the ball is going to behave. Will it stop and distract batters? Will it be crucial for the spinners to step in? Will it be a little fast? I don't think that will be the case. It's going to assist spinners a lot because you also remember the ILT20 are being played in those conditions as well. So it's going to be tricky. So it is
But
a
what
bizarre
has
squad
Sanju
selection.
Samson done wrong?
I do not know. I agree. I mean, this whole setup where you say you first play domestic cricket, you have to be selected. Then you push your seniors to play domestic cricket. Some of them are only going there because of optics. Trust me, there is no other reason. Rohit Sharma cannot come back into form and say, look, I'm good enough to be selected for the first test against England after dropping myself at Sydney just by playing one Ranji Trophy game. That is not going to happen. I'm sorry. That is not, if that is optics, that's a very silly reason. That's a very, very silly excuse to come back into the team. Why Sanju Samson? Even if he has not played the Vijay Hazare campaign, was he not part of your squad selection? Should they not have persisted? The team management should have looked into it, that he should have represented Kerala, any side in the country to play Vijay Hazare. What is this now about Sanju Samson?
No,
I find it hard
this
to
is
understand.
this is where we should call out the hypocrisy. You are saying, fine, I mean, you have to play domestic, only then you are going into the India team. Very good. Then you are not selecting Karun Nair based on domestic because he is not in the scheme of things.
Yeah.
Agreed. Then why are you asking another person to play Vijay Hazare? Only, I mean, you making that criteria up.
See, Krish, there are few criterias, right? Like, first of all, you need to be in contention to be in the team. So
Yeah.
if you are in the contention to be in the team, and this entire domestic thing has come up now after the failure in New Zealand and England,
No,
who cared about domestic cricket before?
no, domestic cricket. I mean, it's
If
not that
numbers
it
in
has.
domestic mattered,
No,
if the numbers in domestic matter, then Ishwaran would have made his debut a long time back. So let's not think that domestic cricket matters so
exactly.
much or something. This is
Why
just
the
a way of
hypocrisy?
letting go. Yeah,
That is my
it's very
point.
but
That is
Sanju
my point. Why the
Samson,
hypocrisy? Sanju
I think
Samson,
Sanju.
his case is very curious, right? I mean, he was meant to play ODIs when there was a T20 World Cup cycle. Great, he scored runs.
Yeah.
Then you did not pick him in the ODI World Cup squad. You picked someone else. Great. Then again, when he was playing T20s, he forced himself into the team. Then what? I mean, he did not play. You played Rishabh Pant.
No,
Throughout the
but
campaign, you played Rishabh, who did not actually score well, and he was outscoring Rishabh Pant even in IPL. And then
But I'll
what's
also
the
play the
point?
devil's advocate. I'll also play the devil's advocate. Both of you have valid points, but I think there is also some emotion around Sanju Samson, given that he's done well, he's been in and out of the team, and you look at it from the outside and you think, yaar, ye to galat hai. But now, okay, now let's be rational. We've been emotional about Sanju Samson. I love him. I love the character. I love the spunk he brings to the field. But now let's be a little objective about the squad, about what we discussed, the top six at least. You have Shubman Gill, Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli. The top three picks itself, right? They pick themselves. There's no doubt about that.
Yep.
Then you have Shreyas Iyer, KL Rahul, Rishabh Pant making up that middle order. There's no question about
I
that.
don't think Rishabh Pant and
Now,
KL Rahul will play together. And Shreyas
why
Iyer, Rishabh
not?
Pant and
Why
KL Rahul,
why
they cannot
why
play
will
together.
KL Rahul then volunteer to keep wickets when you have a professional wicket
No, I
keeper
don't
because
think.
he's a
No, I
senior in
don't
the
think.
squad?
I don't
Why
think
not?
they can play together because
Then
let's say
if
you do
okay,
that.
yeah, go on.
If you do that, then you are running sort of a. I mean, that is why you are focusing on all rounders, right? Let's say you
Yeah.
have Bumrah and Shami are the two seamers, then you have Hardik Pandya as the third seamer. Hardik Pandya plays always, no matter what. Then you have Jadeja and maybe
No, to count,
and
yeah.
Kuldeep.
We need to look at the top six. Okay, I'm glad you brought up that point. Shetty, do you agree with this top six or do you have your own?
I think I agree with I don't think Rishabh and KL will play together. I think KL will play and Rishabh will not play. So
Ah,
Rohit, Shubman, Virat, Shreyas, KL. Then 6-7 will be I think so Hardik and Jadu or some I think
yeah.
so Aksar.
Okay, so
Then 8 will be Kuldeep and then 3 pacers because you cannot rely on Hardik being your Hardik
okay,
bowling 10 overs
fair
for
enough.
you.
Fair enough. So now look at what you guys are saying, and this is what I wanted to get in. You were saying KL Rahul and Rishabh Pant cannot play together because you have KL Rahul keeping wickets, and that means Rishabh Pant is out of the playing 11. If that was the rationale, what now that further dives question, you need to deep dive further into the Sanju Samson conundrum and say, what did Sanju Samson do wrong again? I mean, now if you're looking at Rishabh Pant and
He's
KL
a
Rahul
right-hander.
as a possible left-hander, right-hander combination, if that really has come down to that, a left-hander versus a right-hander, then it is lot more ridiculous than what we'd imagine. Because Sanju Samson, based on current form, ODI form, and Rishabh Pant, when was the last time he played a one-day international? Sorry?
No, I think Sanju Samson's main problem is that he is a player who only plays in the top 4. You cannot play him below 4. That is the only problem India team has with Sanju Samson, because he has not done well when he has played at number 5, 6. They have tried. I mean, it's not that they haven't tried him, but he does not fit into the scheme of things when he does not play in top 4.
But Krish,
Top
that's
four is
not his
Jaiswal?
problem.
Jaiswal?
That's
What about
not his
Jaiswal?
problem. You know what?
But
What about Jaiswal?
Jaiswal is a backup. He is not playing.
But
There is
the
no
problem
problem.
is,
What wrong did? No. That is
No.
that is the failure to look at a long
Yeah.
distant run. If
I
you're not
agree.
looking at
I
Sanju
agree.
Samson now, that means you did not plan after the World Cup.
I agree.
You had 6 ODIs and you had the Vijay Hazare, you had several of the T20s. At least the player came up and said, look, I'm willing to perform. He went to South Africa, he performed. He scored runs against Bangladesh, he's performed. He got whatever opportunities, even as an opener. Now, you could also argue and say, look, what is the problem in trying Sanju Samson as an opener, boss? He also goes hard at the new ball and he can take, full toll on opposition captains. What has he done wrong? And suddenly Jaiswal, planted into the ODI setup, fine. Not saying it's an undeserved selection, but it's the Sanju Samson conundrum. Because there's so many emotions flying, it is also part of the team management's fault that they did not look at the future.
Exactly.
And how long are you going to look at the future? Sanju Samson is the wrong side of 30s.
The funny thing is, you cannot drop either of Rohit or Shubman, because those are your vice captain and captain. So they are playing every day, every match.
The captain can drop himself when he chooses to.
The problem here
Indian
is
team
that
problem.
we think, like Sunil Gavaskar said yesterday, and I don't understand this, that Rishabh Pant is a match winner. He has won a lot of matches for India, etc., etc. But that has
In
only
Test
happened in
cricket.
Test cricket.
No,
he
hasn't
I
won
don't
matches
see
in
him
a
winning
while.
matches for India in T20s or ODIs. What is this excuse? And then he goes on to say, but Sanju Samson has a lot of fans and he'll get a lot of sympathy from Indian fans. So what will he do of sympathy? So that why are we selecting Rishabh Pant on the basis of he has won India matches in Test cricket? That too, to be honest, like 3 years back, maybe one of his not came. Okay, 1 year of his went into for the accident, etc. But still, man, like you cannot keep on selecting the same guy in every format because of something he's doing very well in one format. And one thing which we didn't speak about yet is that the rumors or the concrete news that Gautam Gambhir wanted Sanju Samson in the team, in the squad, and Rohit Sharma wanted Rishabh Pant in the squad. So, and Gautam Gambhir, if we go back and look at his tweet when he was not the coach, he always used to say that Sanju Samson is the best keeper India has. Do you want to argue about it, etc. So the coach of the Indian team, after a failure, wants a certain player, and we are still not giving.
There has always been the case, and not just with the Indian cricket team, where coaches and captains differ on certain players. That's all right, and that's democracy. That's okay. That's allowed to happen. But my problem is that if you have, and this is not just about the Champions Trophy squad selection, Shetty Grish. It is also about what India could have done in these 2 years, in 1.5 years. It's a long time for you to have charted a course. You know what Sanju Samson could have also done? He could have also kept someone like Virat Kohli on his toes. Arguably the greatest one-day batsman ever, after Sachin Tendulkar. He's in the Tendulkar Viv Richards category, where he's redefined one-day cricket. However, he still, he had a record-breaking World Cup campaign, but it's been a dip in form. Even in the one-days against Sri Lanka, Shetty, you were there, he looked listless. I'm sorry, he didn't look good on TV. It was almost like he didn't want to be there. Sanju Samson could have put pressure on one of the top 4, breathing down their necks, sitting on that bench, and say, you know what, Virat, come on, the onus is on you. It's already seen. You've seen what the captain has done. Rohit Sharma is saying, I'll stand up and say, look, I dropped myself in Sydney, and now it's difficult, well-nigh impossible for me to get back into the test side. Virat, this is your lookout as well. That was a missed opportunity in my book. That was a massively missed opportunity. Samson may not have played a single game in the Champions Trophy, but that is going to be, something that the Indian team management will look back at later and say, perhaps we should have taken that call.
Imagine the fan wars between Virat Kohli fans and Sanju Samson fans, the
Yeah.
two biggest fans in social media. That would have been nuts, dude. But still,
I
we all know Rohit
And
Sharma can drop himself, but he won't be able to drop Virat Kohli. But yes, you would have at least had something to fight for. But the thing is that the Champions Trophy is a very small campaign. Like you have 3 matches before you get to the knockout stages, and then it's done. So on what basis are you going to judge it? Even like you're not going to get a long time to see, a long rope to see who is performing and who is not
but
performing. You'll have to
but
drop
see,
the player after a game.
yeah, okay, fine, but it's not just Sanju Samson problem, right? I mean, there are. Why would you pick just? I mean, why you rely so heavily on spinners when you do not have any data to back your claims that spinners will be
Yeah.
successful in this particular time. You know, the IL T20 is going on. Spinners have got only 8 wickets so far. Pacers have got 40. So you can see already that yeah, I understand that the pitches are still fresh and it will be slower as the Champions Trophy begins. I mean, but it's not that hot. How slow are you expecting that you and Dubai, as always, I mean, it's not that it turns. It is always helpful for the slow bowlers. If that was your rationale, then why not pick someone like Harshal Patel or let's say Mohit Sharma,
Nitish
Sandeep?
Rana.
Why not? I mean, these are the players who actually will bowl the slow bowl overs. You are picking Shami, Arshdeep. Arshdeep, I understand the rationale because he is your only left-arm seamer. But then you are just relying heavily on Hardik Pandya to bowl for 10 overs. And you are picking Akshar, Jadeja, and 4 spinners in the lineup in 15. It's
it is. I think
bizarre.
it's what the data has. It seems to have gone for a toss, like a long
Yeah.
walk in everything that we see in the squad selection, and this is not very often that you say that. Over the last several years, the Indian team has
At least
been
in
very
modern
sharp.
cricket. Yeah.
Exactly, and even with the World Cup squad selection, I know there was a lot of criticism, but we talked about Shreyas Iyer and KL Rahul in a few of those shows earlier as well, and we remember talking about how those could have been master strokes, and they were actually. But you never know. You never know what the Champions Trophy brings. But yes, got certain question marks for sure. Siraj, who we did not discuss in detail, and Sanju Samson, who I personally thought did deserve a chance. He did everything he could in those limited opportunities to be able to make a mark in the Champions Trophy. Did not happen, but for our viewers, please come back and tell us how much of our comparisons we got right and said, look, these are the guys who are going to be there. Rishabh Pant versus Sanju Samson versus KL Rahul. We discussed that all over the last couple of weeks. And as we head into the Champions Trophy, there'll be some interesting developments as well, because the BCCI has put its foot down on the player power and said, look, this is the limit. Go back to the previous rules. Travel in a team bus. There are 10 commandments to follow and plenty of strictures now after the disastrous campaign of the season of Test cricket, losing to New Zealand at home and then losing the Border Gavaskar Trophy and, of course, out of contention for the World Test Championship final. That was quite a blow as well. So thank you, Abhishek Shetty, Krishnan Banerjee. We are all gearing up for the Champions Trophy. Plenty to discuss, plenty to talk about as we head into another intense period of limited overs cricket. Thank you for joining us.